What is up, guys? Welcome to Q&A, the show where I take your questions from Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, wherever you leave them for me to find. I answer them and put them in video form. So thank you guys for asking a ton of questions this week. We got some very creative ones, and I just want to get into it. I'm going to start with the Twitter questions. And if you want to ask me questions on Twitter, just during the week, not just for a video, but also to be in a video, then consider following me at QnA_C. It is a different spelling of my name, KWEN_C. Follow me on Twitter there. You can ask me any question. Well, not any question. You can ask me almost any question you want. I talk about basketball. I talk about pop culture. I talk about everything. So if you're interested in following me there and learning what I have to say about a lot more than just the Browns and NFL football, then follow me on Twitter. And shameless pimping of my Twitter done. Now let's jump into the first question from Mr. Orange 1, who says, who do you think are going to be the most important players the Browns need to re-sign after this year? I think it's going to be Randall and Treader. What are your thoughts? I think Demarius Randall's definitely going to be one of those guys that's going to be really important that the Browns re-sign because I think he's just a cornerstone talent to that defense. I think the other guy that we're going to have to look out for is Greg Robinson. If he turns out to be what he was last year, we're going to have to re-sign him, and he's going to cost a good chunk of money due to the nature of his contract, due to him being an unrestricted free agent next year, I believe. So I would say Demarius Randall and Greg Robinson are definitely the two priorities depending on how the season goes. The next question is from Devin Harris on Twitter, who says, would you be okay if the Browns didn't win the division next year but were a wild card team next year? Slightly, I would be disappointed, but I think the goal this year overall is to make the playoffs. Once you're in the playoffs, all bets are off, but I think you have to get there first. And I think that's the first hurdle this team needs to get over before we could think about bigger things. And once we get over that hurdle, then those things immediately become within our sights. But I think just make the playoffs. It's hard to make the playoffs in the NFL. There aren't that many spots. It is not going to be easy to win this division. I mean, Pittsburgh's still going to be around. The Baltimore Ravens are not just sitting back and letting the Browns have the throne. The Baltimore Ravens are going to have something to say about all the hype that Cleveland has had, and they're going to come out firing. So it's not going to be it's not going to be this easy walk to the division. You know, it's going to be difficult. So if the Browns can't get there, it's not really an indictment on the season unless they don't get there in a way that is. But I would say just make the playoffs, get in the playoffs, and then go from there. That's the goal. The next question is from YouTube, from Jose the Great 22, who says, who do you think will be this team's MVP other than Baker? Rashard Higgins. I would go Rashard Higgins. I think Rashard Higgins, despite the talent on the wide receiver room for the Browns, is going to play an important role for the Browns. I think Rashard Higgins is going to be that guy who gets a lot of crucial third and long catches or a lot of crucial plays down the stretch. I think Rashard Higgins is going to be, you know, that role player who really, really puts us over the top. I think Rashard Higgins is primed for that role. He's one of Baker Mayfield's favorite targets. He's the guy Baker Mayfield is most comfortable with because he's been throwing to Rashard Higgins since he came into the NFL. So I would say 100%, I think it's going to be Rashard Higgins. I think he's going to be kind of the grease that caulks the machine that this offense could be. Next question is from Giants Nation, who says, you think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer or even a first ballot Hall of Famer? Best thinking question here. I don't know what the end of that was. But Giants Nation, you're a regular on this show, so I'm going to assume you had something there for me. But is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer? Of course he's a Hall of Famer. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? No. Eli Manning, I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's definitely a Hall of Famer. 2 Super Bowl rings, the amount of production he's had over a long career puts him in the Hall of Fame. First ballot, though, I don't think I think first ballot Hall of Famers are for guys who dominated their position or dominated their era. And I don't think Eli Manning did any of that. I mean, Eli Manning was never really considered the best quarterback in the NFL. And he has no MVP trophies, no regular season MVP trophies to show for it. He's never really been somebody who you've feared necessarily, even though you know he's really good. I think he's in that same kind of definitely a Hall of Famer, but not first ballot Hall of Famer class that Phillip Rivers, ironically, the guy that they traded. But I think him and Phillip Rivers are kind of in the same class of guys who are definitely Hall of Famers, but not necessarily first ballot guys. They were always second tier to Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Drew Brees, and so on and so forth. But Eli Manning, definitely a Hall of Famer. He has too many memorable NFL moments to not be a Hall of Famer, but first ballot, I don't think he's first ballot, maybe third or second. I think that's respectable for Eli Manning. And, for the Manning family, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Next question comes from Low Lip McGee. What is that? Okay. All you hear about is the offense in Baker and Kitchen and Odell. Don't really hear nothing about the other side of the ball. What is your level of concern about the defense that was ranked 30th last year? All right, Mr. McGee, what is my level of concern about the defense? I think I don't have that much of concern because they added a lot of pieces where the Browns were weak last year. The Browns' 30th ranking on defense was because mainly one thing. They couldn't stop the run up the middle to save their lives, and teams exploit the hell out of that. This team had a pretty decent pass defense, and they could stop the run on the edges, but you up the middle, dude, it was all there. Just if you want to see how bad this team was stopping a run up the middle, watch the second Baltimore Ravens game when Lamar Jackson was starting at quarterback, and just see how easily he was gashing us up the middle. So that was the problem. That's why the Browns defense was ranked 30th last year. They got Sheldon Richardson, Larry Ogunjobi's coming back, and they brought in Olivier Vernon to play on that line. So I think that issue is going to be solved. And I think this team's going to be a middle of the pack to great defense. I think they're going to be a defense that can show flashes of being a top 10 defense and being dominant, but they can also revert back to being kind of a middle of the road, slightly disappointing defense. Next question is from Zachary Hunter saying, since it's public now that we're all playing the waiting game, will the new unis, or which unis did you prefer? Personally, I love the new but old look of the Jets 2019 uniforms. I would love to see Cleveland incorporate something similar in style. Thanks. All right, Zach, I think the Browns' new jerseys right now kind of look like the Jets' jerseys do. I mean, they have some similar design qualms to them. Now, I'm just going to put this out here. I hate the Jets' new jersey. I'm not a fan of that jersey. I think it looks ugly. I prefer the classic look that they had from the AFL days that they carried over to now. But I'm more of a classic guy in that sense. But I think the Browns' new jerseys that they're coming out with next year are going to look real classic. They're going to finally put the stripes back on the side like they should be. Maybe a little modern flair, but nothing fancy. Just 2 colors there or something like that. Change it up a little bit, but not too much. Just put those numbers back on that shoulder right here and finally give us the damn white numbers on the Brown jersey. Okay, that is the one thing that drives me crazy. I don't think the Browns' home jersey looks bad. I love the color rush jersey. But that god-awful brown on orange jersey that they wear sometimes just looks like losing. It looks like failure. Every time they wear that jersey, I think they're going to lose because they look so awful. That is the worst jersey of all time. And I have tried not to be too critical of those jerseys because I think people pooped on them too much. But man, that brown jersey with the orange shadow and the white, it's the ugliest damn jersey I have ever seen in my life. And I will be happy to see that thing die next year. I don't know why I did a Vince McMahon impression, but I just can't wait for that jersey to die. But yeah, I think the new jersey is going to be pretty dope, man. Next question is from Bennett Ware, who says, what is the dumbest movie you enjoy? Man, I enjoy a lot of dumb movies. You know what? I, for the longest time, for no reason at all, loved the movie Semi-Pro like nobody else in the universe did. I don't think Andre 3000, Will Ferrell, and there was another guy in that movie, loved that movie as much as I did growing up. I watched that thing like at least like 15 times. I can quote it till this day, unfortunately. But yeah, I love that movie Semi-Pro. I used to just like the first time I got a car, I would play the Get the Funk Out of My Face song so I could feel like Jackie Moon. It's embarrassing, man. I would say Semi-Pro is the dumbest movie that I seriously enjoyed. Next question is from the Catster, who says, is there a player on the Browns that you think will have a down year? Yes. And I don't think Browns fans are going to like what I have to say here. I think there's definitely a player who's going to have a down year. He's a guy who a lot of fan bases put a lot of optimism into. A lot of the fan base put a lot of hope into, and a lot of the fan base is counting on this guy to be the person who puts the team over the top. And I think that that person is going to disappoint everybody and have a bad year and regress. And that person is Antonio Callaway. I think Antonio Callaway having a reduced role, not being as important, not being as relied upon, not being as heavily coached, is going to have a bad year. I don't think he's going to cure his problem with the drops, and I think he's going to have one too many drops in a scenario where the Browns can't really afford to let this dude grow out of the drops. And they're going to eventually bench him, which is going to lead to Rashard Higgins having to take a bigger role, even though he's not really a streaker. But I think Antonio Callaway is in danger of losing his spot. I think, and he's already been demoted to the second team during OTAs. So, that's serious business. But yeah, I think Antonio Callaway, I think he's on the track right now to disappointment, and we'll see when training camp starts. And I hope that I have to eat my words on this. I do not want Antonio Callaway to suck. I want him to be awesome. But he has the drops, and it doesn't look like he's curing the problem with the drops. And he's a player that you need to really work with to grow. And I don't think the Browns really got room or time for that. So yeah, Antonio Callaway might be the guy that takes a little bit of a dive this year. The next question is from Kyle Liu, who says, who is your favorite Browns quarterback of all time? Now, I'm going to exclude the obvious guys like Baker Mayfield, and guys that I never got to see during my lifetime like Bernie Kosar. So essentially, I am picking out of a trash can of just terrible quarterbacks. So who is my favorite quarterback of all time? This is part of me that wants to say Johnny Football. Because, he sucked, and he set the franchise back years, and he was awful, and he's not a good human being and all that. But boy, he was fun to watch. That was a saga. That was there was Browns news every other day with Johnny Manziel, and that was just an exciting time for all the wrong reasons. And nothing will ever top Billy Vegas. But no, it's not Johnny Manziel. It's definitely not Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer kind of was annoying. I mean, he was from Cleveland and everything, but then he just started complaining too much. And it's like, dude, you're Brian Hoyer. Who? It's definitely not Brandon Wheaton. Oh God, no, not Brandon Wheaton. Man, I'm struck. Brady Quinn. I had a Brady Quinn jersey growing up. Fun fact. It was my MySpace profile picture. I'm not even lying about that. Yeah, but what? Screw it. Brady Quinn is my favorite Browns quarterback of all time, not named Bernie Kosar or Baker Mayfield. Why? Because, man, he was really good in one preseason game, and that gave us hope for like a year. And that was just amazing. And that was the closest to franchise quarterback that they came before Baker Mayfield came along. So, yeah, Brady Quinn. That is the saddest answer of all time, but I will stick to it. It's Brady Quinn. And the last question of the day comes from Super D, biggest fan, ! Can't forget that. Who's a sleeper Browns player who is flying under the radar? I think I have said this 15 times since I've started this channel, and I don't think people are going to catch on. Terrence Mitchell is the most slept on, underrated player on the entire roster. Look at how different and how bad the pass defense was when he was not on the field to when he is on the field. Terrence Mitchell is a difference maker. He's going to be a difference maker this year, and he's going to be underrated again because they got Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward on the other side, and nobody's going to remember Terrence Mitchell, but the people who watch this channel, you will. And every time Terrence Mitchell makes a play, you'll go, oh yeah, Quincy likes that guy. So Terrence Mitchell is the guy I think is the most underrated dude. Watch him get cut in training camp. Yeah, but I think he's the most underrated guy. I think he's a very important piece of what the Browns are doing. And I think Terrence Mitchell is going to come up with a lot of really good plays for the Browns. I like his feistiness. He's just a feisty veteran, but young corner that you love. And if you're going to go to Berea to watch training camp, the Browns specifically, yo, when Terrence Mitchell gets on Odell or Jarvis, watch that because they will fight. There will be a fight, and it will be with Terrence Mitchell because Terrence Mitchell holds like hell in practice, and he's just a feisty dude, and he's going to start a couple fights. And you want to go to training camp the day there's a fight. So, yeah, it's Terrence Mitchell, man. Give love to Terrence Mitchell. Not enough love for Terrence Mitchell. So, Terrence Mitchell love right here on this channel. Terrence Mitchell, if you're watching this, you're probably not. Nobody does. But if you're watching this, you're loved on this channel. This is your home. But Terrence Mitchell, most underrated player, most slept on player on the Browns roster that nobody is talking about at all. So Terrence Mitchell, you're going to do it this year. And I'm going to tell everybody that you did. I'm terrible at this. Yeah, but that's going to be it, guys. Thank you for asking all of the questions across Twitter, across YouTube. And thank you guys for just supporting the channel. I know it's June. We're anxiously waiting for training camp to start. We're looking at dates. We're booking when we're going to be in Berea. I know it's a long road from here to the end of July, but we're going to get there. And I'm going to help you do it. Guys, thank you for supporting this channel. Thank you for helping this channel continue to grow amazing amounts in just a small bit of time. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. And if you really like what you saw today, please consider hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and then dinging the notification bell so you can know, you can be in charge of when you get notified to see my videos. And I upload 3 times a week, so you're going to want to have that video notification bell rung-a-lung-dung. And if you have a buck or two to spare and you want to help this show grow even more, please consider joining Patreon and having your name featured on this cool little ticker bar I have at the bottom of the video. But again, guys, seriously, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for engaging. And thank you for just listening to me speak for so long. But that's going to be it for this week's show. Have a great night and have a good weekend.